hatuwezi fanya interview sasa.
Hapana. Wacha tufanye tuulize. Sawa. So that tumejua kwa sasa very tight ya kuingia hiyo program ianze, akishaianzisha chamaliza kumeke speech yake, then tutamleta huko nje ya media. So hiyo itakuwa time poa. Sawa.
Okay.
We'd like to begin this segment of the program. We are required to go through the items and the events that have occurred this morning. So we want to switch gears to the program. We like to thank our guests.
All students, Professor Piero Ngugi. Just give me this. Okay. Our chief guest, Honorable Lee Kinyanjui, the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry for Investment, Trade and Industry. Professor Wanjohi, our DVC academic, representing the Acting Vice Chancellor in this particular meeting. Professor Piero Ngugi, my counterpart, Dean Spas, coming in to stand in the position for the DVC. Our guests and representatives from our sponsor institutions, various that have been acknowledged, our invited guests who have come in one way to play a role in this particular symposium, our judges led by the Chief Judge, faculty from KU and other universities that have graced this occasion, all students, and specifically presenters of various innovations in this particular symposium. I want to take this opportunity to greet you. Good afternoon. And then to welcome you to the 8th Students' National Economic Symposium. We are not 8 years old as an institution of the Association of Economic Students at Kenyatta University, but we are 8 years old in terms of leading in the hosting of Students' Economic Symposium in this country. The reason behind this activity is to provide a forum for young people who are in the universities, because in the period they are in the university, they are interacting with knowledge in various disciplines, but they are also experiencing issues in their local communities, and they are also aware of challenges that a country, our region, and the globe are facing. And out of curiosity, they desire to be creative and to form an idea out of which a mentorship and continuous thinking on can actually generate big solutions for our country and for our globe. So we want to continuously thank those institutions that have stood with us for the last 7 years and still found it still beneficial to stand with us in this 8th symposium, and we don't want to take it for granted at all. Kipra, your presence have always been here from the very beginning. And ACCA Your presence has been here, very robust. Each year, you have been here with us. And of course, Equity Bank, Britam, and last year we had also a very good experience with the NCBA Bank, which led to us participating in a massive planting of trees. So we are grateful in every way to the organizations that support us. Odu Kenya supported us last year in the judge's desk, and they are continuing this year. We also want to thank the universities that have continued to make their presence in this symposium. And if at all there is a new entrant that I'm not yet aware of, I want to also thank you, because without your presence here, then this symposium is in vain. I want to therefore sincerely also thank our CS for accepting our invitation through our students in the Kenyatta University Economic Students Association. It was an extended invitation through them, and when they told us that you had accepted to come, we were very happy. And we also informed the VC's office, and they were very happy, and that's why the VC's office is presented here. When the friends of your children visit your home, you are more than happy, because you know your children have a communal support. And that is what we get this morning from the presence of all of you here. This particular symposium gives us an opportunity to appreciate the position that youth play and take in our drive towards driving growth and prosperity in our country. This platform is the evidence that we value the creativity and the strength of young people, and whatever goes in your mind, however naive it may be, it can be built to something great. And this is what we have continued to say in this platform, that the great things that we use today, even artificial intelligence, even the great industry, the great products that we have and use today, started from a simple imagination. And therefore, as somebody once said, your imaginations, if I paraphrase, are valid. And you shouldn't be ashamed of sharing it with us in such platforms, because from there, somebody picks it and it grows to a great product that enhances livelihoods, changes circumstances for people, and make our world better. With those few remarks, I welcome you to this 8th National Economic Students Symposium. Welcome.
Thank you, Executive. Give a hand, please. Thank you for the kind words and where this program has come from. It's now my single opportunity to introduce Mr. Lenny Mutembe.
Anyango. A very warm welcome to Kenyatta University first. Thank you for honoring our event. Representing the Vice Chancellor, the DVC, Professor Washeke Wanjoy, Senior Management of Kenyatta University, the Executive Dean, School of Business, Economics and Tourism, and our esteemed patron, again, Professor Perez Onono, who, just to mention, belief in this association has never been wavered. Distinguished faculty, industry partners, invited guests, and fellow students from across our great universities, good afternoon. I am honored, extremely honored, to stand before you today. My name is Lenny Mutembe. I am the chairperson of the Kenyatta University Economic Students Association, KUESA, and on behalf of every student who planned, organized, competed in, and most importantly, showed up for this symposium, thank you so much for being here. What we witnessed earlier in the morning was not just a student competition. I can say it was proof. Proof that us, the young people of this country, are not waiting to be handed over just seats at the table. We are building the table ourselves. We are the table. And making sure that all things presented here are both eco-friendly and sustainable, both in a business sense. A lot of universities have been here. We've had several presentations. And one very clear message is Kenyan youth, and dare to say African youth in general, can solve African problems. QUESA was founded a couple of years ago, 30-something years ago, probably more. That's way longer than most of us were born. It was formed by, I'd say, just a simple but radical idea that economics should not only stay in the classroom. That theory without practice is just, say, vocabulary. And that students who understand markets, policy, and innovation can, and emphasis must, contribute to the conversation that shape our great nation of Kenya. Today, QUESA stands as the largest and most active student association in Kenyatta University. I believe every one of you can testify. We have membership of 500 plus, which we renew yearly. And this is the 8th Students' National Economic Symposium. It's the clearest expression of what we are building and we want to build. We call it fostering economic leadership. Today, you saw exactly what that looks like. To our esteemed partners, just to mention Kenya Industrial Estates, ACCA, Workforce Africa, Britam, Equity, IRA, CASNEB, WILD, ODU, Vision 2030, KIPRA, and most importantly, Chandaria Innovation Center. Your presence here is not just ceremonial, and it is a statement that the bridge between academia and industry must be built and maintained, and that you have chosen to help us build it. We, again, are very, very deeply grateful. Honorable Waziri, we are not here simply just to impress you, though I hope we have, hopefully. We are here to tell you, and through you, the government of Kenya, that we are ready to plug into the green economy, ready to plug into Kenya's trade and investment agenda, ready to turn our ideas that were presented on stage earlier and those that were not presented today into enterprises that, as we had talked, create jobs. As you had said, the government cannot employ anyone. We're here to learn the skill to create jobs and opportunities for our young people, me being one of them. Again, to also protect our environment and build the Kenya that we were promised in Vision 2030, and I'm glad that they're here with us. All we ask is that the door remains open, and for this year's theme, Youth-Driven Innovation to Build Kenya Future Through Eco-Friendly Solutions, we have shown the innovations. And I'll leave by saying the future is ours to build. Yeah. Thank you, and God bless you all. Asanteni sana.
Thank you, Lenny, for the remarks.
All the invited guests, all protocols observed, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hey, my youth. Good afternoon. Yeah, so my name is Charity Kirote Munyori. I'm the Senior Manager, Women and Youth Banking in Equity Bank. And let me appreciate you for inviting us once again into this institution. We don't take it for granted as Equity Bank. And we are here to continue partnering. And just to say that we have supported KU and through our EALP, that's the Equity Leaders Program, the KU chapter. I'm not sure if the chairman is here. He here. Yeah, we got invited here through that. And not to brag, but to say Equity Bank remains the biggest partner in terms of the parents. So we have majority of our youngsters here. So we are entitled also to be here to address through the Equity Leaders Program. So we really, really appreciate and we continue partnering with KU. And just to say, as Equity Bank, we now have a specific sector for the youth, and that's why I'm seated. And this is to support the youth, especially in innovation. I appreciate all the presentations that have been done, and especially on the ESG. That's quite particular because it's all about the environment, and we are part of this conversation. So it tells you we are moving forward, and as Equity Bank, we are here to support the youths, especially on innovations and also in the growth of your businesses. And I would not want to say we are doing it alone. Our CS, I would really want to appreciate the government for giving us a landing page. When they give the youths the startup capital, where the banks, we've really tried and still trying, but the government has come in and supported the youth through the Nyota program. We really appreciate, because now we can grow those businesses. And as Equity Bank, we work very closely with the government, even through the Hustler Fund, which I'm told the highest now is at 150,000. So the moment you come into the bank, then it tells you we can grow your business to the next level. And we also offer financial education, which is free of charge. We can do it in person and also online, and always follow our page. Anytime we are doing the registration, just sign up and we're going to support you. We work also with the partners, like the African Guarantee Fund, who have come in to support the young entrepreneurs with the guarantees, and therefore, when it comes to security, it's not a priority. What we look at is your ability to pay, the cash flow. So we urge each and every other youth to bank through Equity Bank, so that when it comes to credit scoring you, at least you can get some good limits for your business. And then the other reason we're here is to appreciate each and every one of you for supporting Equity Bank. When it comes to PayPal, vijana we, PayPal, we feel KU. So we really appreciate you. You can clap for yourselves. So Equity Bank appreciates KU for doing well in the PayPal space through our branches that are here. And just to also say, with me, I'm with Judy and Alan. Alan is the one in charge of PayPal. Maybe he can just wave. Alan. And Judy is the branch manager, Kamaki's branch. And as you know, we've invested well around. We have a branch inside KU, outside KU, and also in Kamaki. So we really appreciate your support, and we don't take it for granted. And then just to commit ourselves as Equity Bank that will continue supporting the Equity Leaders Program. These are the youngsters who've come through the Equity Bank through Wings to Fly, Elimu Scholarship, and also the students who score A's in their Form 4. So we'll continue supporting you in a big way. And also to all the innovators and also all the entrepreneurs, count on us, and let's continue engaging. If you have to reach out to me, my email address is charity.munyori@equitybank.co.ke, and you're most welcome to all our branches countrywide. Thank you very much, and we wish to engage further with you through your leadership. Asanteni sana.
Thank you, I hope you can also do
Good afternoon. Hey, there's no energy in the room. What's happening? And you are Gen Zs. Good afternoon. Thank you so much. I'll ride on the already existing protocol, but of course I want to recognize Your Honor, Lee Kinyanjui. It's a pleasure to be here, and I also want to thank the organizers. Of course, I'm coming in from Britam. I'm the GM, Britam Asset Managers, and when I saw this request, it actually aligns with our 5-year strategy in terms of impacting the youth. So yeah, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here. Back to the basics on what brings us here today. On the platform, of course, we've had different speakers, and most of them have spoken about inclusivity. So Britam is, of course, pillared by inclusivity. We are a financial services company that we deal with. We have 4 companies, 4 in 1. We deal with life insurance, general insurance, Britam Connect, that is usually deals with the micro insurance, and lastly, the Britam Asset Managers, where I sit as the GM. So in today's topic about economic empowerment to the youth, I think the question that we ask ourselves is, when we hear about GDP, when we hear about economic development, economic growth, the sector growth, do we feel that at a personal level? Yes, no? Do we feel it? Do we feel it? Yeah. So today's topic, I think, and that's why we come here as Britam, because we act as a linkage between the macros, between the economy and the personal experience. Because most of the time, we get to hear reports, which are very good reports, and of course they make sense. But at the same time, we have 2 extremes. One person will express their satisfaction on the economy, and the other person will express their dissatisfaction on the economy. So our role as Britam is to ensure that we act as a linkage. How do we make the macros, the growth, very relatable to our own experience? Yesterday, there was something going around, I don't know if you saw it, on how much was loaned digitally last year. Did you see it? Did you see it? 2.2 trillion. 2.2 trillion. NCBA alone, I think, had done 1.25 trillion in terms of the mobile loans. So do you know what that tells us? Currently, we might be bragging that the economy is stable. The projection for this year in terms of economic growth was 5.3%, okay? That's a very stable, resilient economy. But again, if you look at such behavior, it only shows that most of us are still on the survival economics. You are getting money, lending money to survive, not lending money to grow. So I think what I want to leave us here is, especially as the youth, because you see we are not the future of the economy, future of Kenya. We're already participating actively in the economic growth of Kenya. So the question is, how can you plug in into the economy, actively plugging in? There's opportunity. The target that you have as a financial institution, as a government, and I'm sure the other speakers will speak into it, how do we make all the opportunities accessible to the youth? Because it is one thing to say Kenya is rich in the youth population, but then it's another to say, how do we convert the youth into active participation? There's one speaker who spoke about digital accessibility, and that is usually our pride. Kenya is usually, we are proud of that. But then how do we convert that? Now we say innovation becomes income. So I think these are conversations that we are allowed in Britam. We have a department called the Beta Lab, where we invite the youth. We invite like-minded young people like you and I. Okay, I'm not young. I used to be young 20 years ago. Sorry. I take back my word. Young people like you, though I feel young at heart, young people like you, how then do you come on board and bring those ideas so that to ensure when you talk about accessibility, how do we make it relatable to everybody? Okay? I've been given 5 minutes, but it's a pleasure to be here. I'm sure all of you know about Britam. I'm sure most of you know about investments. Currently, it is a trending subject and topic. Anywhere you go to TikTok, you go to Facebook. I think investment has become kind of more of opening a bank account. So take advantage. 20 years ago, I wish I had someone to come and talk to us about everything that all the speakers have said. So the secret is this: start early. Start early. That is the secret about investment, about growing wealth. Start early. So that 20 years from now, your 500 shillings, 1,000 shillings would have grown and compounded. And remember, the moment you start building a habit. Yeah? The moment you start, 21 days, you build a habit. So the first step to investment is usually build the right habits. But start now. Start early. Usually in investment, there is no, hakuna pesa mingi, hakuna pesa kidogo. Pesa ni pesa. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Allow me to ride on the established protocol, but recognize the presence of our Waziri, Honorable Lee Kinyanjui. Good afternoon, colleagues. My name is Ismail Maruf. I'm here representing the Kenya Vision 2030 Delivery Secretariat. So I'll be very formal because now it's the turn of the government to speak. I'm very lucky actually to have the Waziri with me here today, and whatsoever the government will have said now rests on his shoulders. Bwana Waziri, you will give me the permission to speak globally from the vision perspective, and then Waziri will give now the granular part of where we are in terms of the government. It's not the first time, actually, that we are interacting with the Kenyatta University economic students. We have had interactions outside this amphitheater with the student leadership from Kenyatta University. We have also had the opportunity to interact with the academicians from the university as Vision 2030 Delivery Secretariat. Since we recognize universities and learning institutions not just as givers of education, but very strategic institutions to the development of our country. Since I'm representing the Director General, allow me to be formal and read the speech that he has prepared. Distinguished participants, it is a great honor to join you today at the 8th Kenyatta University Economic Students Symposium. Let me begin by congratulating the organizers for creating a platform that does not just host discussions, but sparks ideas, challenges the thinking, and inspires action. Let me start with a simple statement. We are living in a defining moment for Kenya. Why do I say that? The decisions we make today, especially around innovations, sustainability, and technology, will determine the kind of a country we want for the future generations. The theme, youth-driven innovation, building Kenya's future through eco-friendly and digital solution, is not just a mere theme. It is the current national agenda. It is what we are discussing currently as a country. To understand this, I would like us to reflect briefly on the Kenya Vision 2030, the journey to a better Kenya itself. The vision was launched in 2008 as the Kenya's long-term development blueprint that aimed to transform Kenya into a globally competitive and prosperous country with high quality of life for all. For us to achieve the aspirations of the Vision 2030, it was intended purposely to be implemented in a medium-term plans of 5 years. Each medium-term plan was translating the ambitions and the aspirations into action. The early plans, the first medium-term plan that ran between 2008 all the way to 2012, focused on building our foundation as a country. We talked about roads, We are talking about energy infrastructure. We are talking about reforms within our institutions. In the subsequent phases of the MTP, MTP3, and the current MTP that we are implementing, the focus has been on strengthening the institutions and expanding our social development platform. And today, under the current administration, we are implementing MTP4 that runs between the years 2023 all the way to 2027. The focus is very clear. Green growth as a country, digital transformation, innovation, which is part of the theme and the discussion around the forum today, and inclusion. In other words, the future Kenya is building is exactly what we are discussing in your symposium. But let me be very clear. Vision 2030 will not be achieved by government alone. It is not to be achieved by developing good policy documents. Our vision as a country will only be achieved by our people here, and especially the young people around this room. Across Kenya today, young people are already building digital platforms. Young people are already creating climate-smart solutions. Our young people today are already redefining how business and society works. I'll say, our young people are not just waiting, but you are building the nation. As we approach the final phase of Vision 2030, Kenya has already begun the discussion around designing the next long-term transformative agenda beyond the 2030. This is a lifetime opportunity to change our generations. For those of you who are here, I'm sure probably more than half of this room were not actively involved in the process of coming up with the current Vision 2030 that was launched in 2008. But presently, you have the opportunity to contribute positively to the development of our future plans. And the question will be, will you be an observer, or you'll be a co-creator of the Kenya we want for the period beyond 2030? Because this time, our young people are at the center stage of ideas. Our young people are currently at the center stage of policy designs, and our young people are currently at the center of implementation of government projects and programs. The government has created various platforms to support your involvement as a youth. A case in point is the Ajira digital platform that has been created for the youth. The Youth Enterprise Development Fund, who are present, I think, as a participant in this symposium today. Innovation hubs across the country, among others. But platforms alone do not create impact. People do. So the real question is, how boldly will you be thinking of impacting your country's development plans? How far will you push the ideas that are in your head? How committed would you be as a youth to solving our real society challenges? As economists and students of economics here, you have a unique advantage. You understand systems, you understand policy, and you understand data. That alone places you in a powerful position, not just to observe the economy, but to shape it to the way we want as a country. So here is my challenge to each and every one of us in this room. Don't just sit. Don't just study the economy. Please stand up, redesign it, contribute to the transformation. Build solutions that are not just sustainable, but also profitable. Build ideas that are scalable and not just exciting. Bring up ideas that are inclusive and not just innovative alone. Because of the true test of innovation, it is not how clever it is, but always how much impact it creates around the country. Let me conclude by saying this. Kenya's future will not be written in reports. It will not be in policy documents. It will be built on the ideas that we contribute, on the innovations that we bring forth, on our courage as citizens to act. So, as you engage in this symposium, I would like you to think bigger. I would like you to act bolder, and I would like you to innovate responsibly and lead without any fear or any favor. The Vision 2030 Delivery Secretariat, alongside with all the government institutions, stand ready to walk this journey with you as partners in building Kenya that we all want. Thank you, and wish you an impactful and transformative discussion.
A very good morning to you. Many thanks for joining us this morning right here on KUTV's Biashara Tuesday. That is Rise Today on this 28th day, actually the last Tuesday of the month of April 2026. So much has been happening in the country, including the continuous voter registration, which officially will be ending today. So for those who are waiting for the last minute, today is your day to ensure that you take that voter's card. Today, 28th, being the final day of the mass registration. Right here on Biashara Tuesday, we have a lot in store for you this morning, keeping you updated on everything business, everything state of the nation, everything governance, and everything generally that affects you as a person. From what we've been hearing before, as we began this broadcast this morning, is on our financial responsibility as a people, and especially on encouragement of the young people to take charge of their lives economically. Speaking of that, we have several newspapers lined up this morning, which we are going to be taking a look at the headlines. Just to mention, to have the Star, we have the Star talking of Kenya's nuclear energy ambition takes off in Siaya. And it says that government intends to increase production to 10,000 megawatts in 7 years. This has been a controversial issue that has been going on in the country for the last several months. And finally, the ambition or the dream has begun in Siaya County. And in politics, they're talking of Gachagua, Kalonzo, Matiang'i team in talks with Sifuna's side before naming candidate. Politics is really getting intensely hot in the country. Remember, not one faction of the ODM, both the Linda Mwananchi and Linda Ground, have talked of leaving the party. So could there be a possibility of them reuniting once again as we head towards the election? Because both teams are saying they're capable of having presidential candidates, or having candidates from the topmost seat to the bottommost seat. That is from the presidential aspirant to, of course, the member of county assembly. That is in politics. And also they're talking of push to register students for national IDs, raises legal, logistical red flags, and also another feature given prominence there is of Rastafarian with a heart for ghetto youth. So that is the Star this morning. Moving on to the People Daily. The People Daily are being economical this morning and talking of living on credit, why Kenyans can't save. And they've given several percentages right there. Talking of the rate of saving dropped to 68.1% in 2023 from 74%. And also lack of saving has led to decline in long-term savings from 39.5% in 2021 to just 17.1%. Also, only 18.3% of Kenyans are considered financially healthy. Most struggle to consistently meet their financial needs, as some 39% of Kenyans reported going without food due to lack of money, with 21% experiencing this multiple times in a single month. Meanwhile, 57% of men and 63% of women have had to reduce their food expenses just to meet financial obligations, and loan defaulters increased from 10.7% in 2021 to 17% in 2024. And finally, Kenya's ratio of saving to GDP has stagnated at 12% for the last 11 years, and is now showing signs of further decline against a global average of 25%. And remember, this is despite Kenya experiencing an economic growth of 5% in the last financial year. So despite that, studies are showing that Kenyans are continuously living from hand to mouth. And that is a worrying situation. I don't know if it's going to be a situation where we have 80% of our resources controlled by 10% of those who are financially stable. And also something else given prominence on the People Daily is fuel pricing mess, as EPRA questioned over the 1.06 billion expenses that is in relation to oil pricing. And now moving on to Taifa Leo this morning. Wanazungumzia Rigathi akataa kazi ya Kindiki, asema kwamba gazeti hili linasema kwamba kinara wa DCP aambia mahakama kuwa hataki kuwa naibu wa rais wa Ruto tena, wadhifa aliyopokonywa mwaka 2024. Hata hivyo, Gachagua ataka alipwe marupurupu na fidia kwa kubanduliwa mamlakani kwa hila, akiomba koti itangaze harakati ya kumngoa kama haramu. That is what was ongoing yesterday at the Milimani Law Courts, where Gachagua presented himself for the court proceedings, and right now he says he does not want that job anymore and he wants to be compensated. Taarifa nyingine katika gazeti la Taifa Leo wasema kwamba siasa za Mlima Kenya Mashariki na Magharibi zaibuka tena, Kindiki akita kambi Mashariki, huku Ruku akidokeza mpasuko ukanda huo. That is in Mount Kenya politics. They're also saying Trump asema Iran ikimhitaji impigie simu. Alafu pia siasa za Kenya, ndoto ya Joho ya mwaka 2027 yapigwa jeki. And this is in relation to the endorsement from ODM chairperson, that is Gladys Wanga, that Joho anatosha kuwa naibu wa rais. I don't know if this conversation will still hold, because seemingly the ODM party, the Linda Ground faction, seems to be losing grip or lacking substance as they get to the table. They lack that bargaining power, or so to say. So I don't know how this is going to be unfolded in the coming days. We still have a a year and some months to the general election of the 2027 election. So yeah, more can happen in a month here in Kenya. So we can't rule anything out. On the Daily Nation, they're talking of Gachagwa's U-turn. That is still in relation to the story of him appearing at the Milimani Law Courts. And also, governor wanted by MPs over suspect 14 billion payouts. That is in Kakamega County with Governor Fernandez Barasa. And finally, on the Business Daily, they're talking of how non-existent farm is set for 10 billion Kenyan pay. That is a story that is given prominence on the daily, on the Business Daily. Also, 27 banks snub new central bank loans pricing formula. Another story is it's time to ensure legislative processes serve the public good rather than narrow individual payoffs. Those are stories that are given prominence on the front pages of the dailies this morning here in the country. At this point, I want us to take a look at what is happening on the roads and, of course, the weather situation in different parts of the country. It is exactly 49 minutes past 7 a.m. and throughout the Nairobi and surroundings, that is Kiambu and surrounding counties, it has been raining, and that means that traffic is expected to be unusual in different parts of the country. And just to taking an overall look at tributaries, especially those leading to Nairobi Central Business District, I'm seeing so many patches or traces of red. That means that there is traffic or snarl up in different parts as you head to Nairobi Central Business District. To begin with, where we are here at Kenyatta University, that is around Thika Road, from Roysambo all the way to Muthaiga Interchange, there is heavy traffic. So if you're using that road, you're going to be staying on that road for quite some time. And also those using the Eastern Bypass, Kule Utawala, you're also going to be staying on the road for quite some time. This is affecting those who are coming, who are entering Mombasa Road through Langata Road, coming from Nairobi Upper Hill. You're going to be staying on the road for quite some time. And also those entering Nairobi Expressway or Mombasa Road through areas, the roads surrounding Uhuru Park, you're going to be staying on the road for quite some time. And just to mention, along the junctions, across the junctions along Ngong Road, there is slowdown across those junctions. If you're using Ngong Road, you're also going to be staying on the road for quite some time. And today, the unusual part is those who are coming from Lavington Kileleshwa, heading to town. You're also going to be staying on the road for quite some time. I'm seeing very large traces of red along those routes. So if you are coming from Kileleshwa, Lavington, you're going to be staying on the road for quite some time. And also this is affecting those using James Kishuru Road. So if you're using those roads, you're using Waiyaki Way, you're using you're coming to town through Lower Kabete Road, you're also going to be staying on the road for quite some time. So those are tributaries leading to Nairobi Central Business District that I'm seeing heavy traffic. And also those coming from Kitsuru, you're not left behind this morning. You're also going to be staying on the road for some time. This is affecting the side of which heads to Nairobi, that is Mombasa Road. Those coming from those side, Lower Kabete, Kitsuru, if you're entering Nairobi through Mombasa Road, you're also going to be staying on the road for quite some time. That is on the traffic update. And right in the capital, there are several traffic that or slowdown that you're going to be witnessing as you maneuver your way through the capital. And now, taking a look at the weather, according to the weatherman, that is according to the Kenya Met Department, what it says for the next 7 days, that is from today, the 28th, of course, to the 4th of April, 2026. Kenya Met says that rainfall is expected to continue in several parts of the country, mainly over highlands, west and east of the Rift Valley, the Rift Valley coast and the northeastern parts. So heavy rainfall expected in those areas. And in terms of regional highlights of rainfall, the Lake Victoria Basin and Rift Valley, morning rains in few areas, afternoon showers and thunderstorm expected over several places, within night showers over a few places, and highlands east of Rift Valley, including Nairobi, morning rains expected over a few places during the first half of the forecast period, afternoon showers and thunderstorm expected over several places, with night showers occasionally spreading to several areas. In the northwestern Kenya rather, morning rains, afternoon and night showers are likely over a few places during the first half of the forecast period. And the northeastern Kenya, morning rains as well as afternoon and night showers and thunderstorm are likely over a few places. And the southeastern lowlands, morning rains expected over a few places during the first half of the forecast period, afternoon and night showers and a thunderstorm likely over a few places. And finally, in the coastal region, morning, afternoon and night showers are likely to occur over a few places. So generally, according to the Kenya Met Department, rainfall is expected for the next 7 days, and mostly the first half of the period is expected morning showers, afternoon showers, and occasionally night showers expected in those areas. And we've witnessed that in Nairobi, where we've had showers throughout the night ongoing in different places. In terms of temperature, daytime temperatures are of more than 30 degrees Celsius expected in the coast, the southern lowlands, northeastern and northwestern Kenya, and cool night temperatures below 10 degrees Celsius are likely in some parts of the highlands east of the Rift Valley, the central Rift Valley, and in the vicinity of Mount Kilimanjaro. So in Nairobi, the temperatures are going to be averaging 26 over 15. Mombasa, that is 32 and less of 23. In Kisumu, 30 over 18. Nakuru, 25 over 13. And Eldoret, 24 over 11. And finally, the northeastern part, Mandera, 36 over 23. So in most parts of the country, rainfall is expected. And of course, temperatures ranging between 11 and 36, that is in the northern part of the country. That is on the traffic and the weather update this morning.
We are all use first persona.
Ndio lazima tukume akili ndio kuna shida akili. Tajua kuna shida akili kama kume akili ndio kuna shida akili. Mbona na akili? Translate na Kiswahili. Hiyo labda hajaget.
Let me go back. It looks like you guys don't.
Utokeni hapa. Sana sana wewe Lambo. Lamborghini SS Porino.
Wakili, just to put you on the spot, what is an ideal youth candidate?
That's a good question. As I think about it, I think about my journey and myself, and what would you say is an ideal youth candidate? An ideal youth candidate would first of all have to be a youth.
Baada ya kutafuta kazi, tunaweza kuanzisha miradi yetu ambayo ingetusaidia kubadilisha maisha ya wazazi wetu.
Kwa vijana wenzangu, wengi hawana kazi, lakini ikiwa sisi wenyewe tutajiamini, tunaweza kujiajiri wenyewe.
Afrika kwa kweli tuna mahitaji ambayo ukiyasuluhisha unaweza kuathiri watu kwenye bara hili.
Bila woga, watu huwa na uzalishaji zaidi. Wanajawa na ujasiri, wanakuwa wabunifu na wanakuwa wenye maarifa.
Niliamua kuacha kazi. Hata kama sitafanikiwa, nitakuwa nimejaribu, nitakuwa najua haiwezekani.
Hakuna kitu cha ajabu hapa. Kila anayepata ufanisi hufanya kazi usiku na mchana.
Kitu kitakusukuma na kuwezesha kupata maarifa ambayo hukuwa nayo.
Tunajaribu kutengeneza kitu kitakachopita mipaka ya nchi hii.
Ikiwa unataka kubadilisha ulimwengu, anza na nyumbani.
Kila safari huanza kwa hatua moja. Bila shaka, dira ya Boresha Kilimo sasa imepata sura mpya. Boresha Kilimo si kipindi tu, bali ni darasa la vitendo kwa wakulima. Lengo kuu, mavuno bora na tija kwa jamii.
Na ukikaa nasi basi utaboresha kilimo.
Hapa tutakupakulia maarifa atakotia ladha ya kisukari kwenye mazao yako, tukitofautisha punje na mpunga.
Kwani kilimo ndicho huboresha maisha.
Kuanzia maandalizi ya shamba, mbinu za teknolojia ya kisasa hadi sokoni, usikose kutazama Boresha Kilimo.
Ukitaka kujua haya usipime kipimo.
Ungana nami na hodha wako Akida Kasim kila siku ya Jumamosi saa 6:30 mchana na Jumanne asubuhi, nikikuletea shajara kamili za wakulima na suluhisho mashinani.
Kilimo ni nguzo kubwa kwa ujenzi wa taifa, kwani kilimo ndicho huboresha maisha.
Kumbuka, ukipanda pantosha utavuna pankwisha.
Welcome back. Now on to our news update this morning of what is shaping the nation. Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, through his lawyers, has withdrawn his application to be reinstated to his position as Deputy President. Instead, he is now seeking to be granted allowances and compensation given to former Deputy Presidents despite not serving a full term. On the first day of the hearing of his impeachment case at the High Court in Milimani, Gachagua wants the court to declare that both the National Assembly and the Senate failed to follow proper legal and constitutional procedures in the process of impeaching him from office. Hassan Lewa with the full report.
Accompanied by his legal team, Rigathi Gachagua, together with his wife Dorcas Gachagua, appeared at the Milimani courts today, ready to strongly contest his removal from office as Deputy President, which was upheld by the Senate on October 17th, 2024. His lawyers, led by Elisha Ongwae and Paul Mwite, withdrew the early application seeking his reinstatement as Deputy President. Instead, they filed new request asking the court to declare that both the National Assembly and the Senate did not follow the legal procedures required under the Constitution in his impeachment.
One, the quashing, if this court agrees with our submissions, the quashing of the unconstitutional impeachment. Number two, payment of the remuneration he would have otherwise earned, plus, of course, all the benefits as per the law as damages. Finally, for the period of...
Gachagua has also questioned the adequacy of public participation conducted by the National Assembly during his impeachment. His lawyers also raised concerns about why the Senate did not conduct public participation.
For the trial of His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua at the Senate issued a trial schedule, a schedule of the proceedings. The National Assembly had given the Senate a list of 5 witnesses. His Excellency, the Deputy President, had submitted his affidavit alone as his own witness. So the DP side had 1 witness, being the DP only. The National Assembly presented 5 witnesses. When the schedule came, the schedule gave the DP's team 2 hours to cross-examine the 5 witnesses of the National Assembly. And
the DCP leader has further raised concerns about how his impeachment was conducted in less than 10 days, with his lawyers arguing that removing a sitting deputy president should have taken more time.
Is the exact replica of today's Article 145, except it had a bit more clarity. Why? Because the kind of Thank you, my Lord. My Lord, because the kind of contestations that attend the making of any constitution had not been there. Remember, by the time we are getting to 145, we've gone through a failed referendum. We've had the WACO draft. We've also had the Naivasha process that messes up and moves articles.
Through his lawyers, Gachagua is seeking compensation and benefits equivalent to those given to former deputy presidents, which he would have earned after serving a full 5-year term.
To stand. It's a threat to confidence in our constitutional democracy itself. Allow me just to reiterate one question that has bothered me, and my learned senior colleague, Senior Counsel Paul Mwita, has touched on it. On 17th of October 2024, when you go through the Hansards of the Senate that I will draw your attention to in a short while, the Speaker of the Senate delivered a communication from the chair, an actual ruling, which informed the members that the first petitioner was in fact indisposed and not available to be heard as guaranteed by law.
The case is ongoing in court with a 3-judge bench consisting of Justice Eric Ogola, Anthony Murima and Frida Mugambi expected to deliver a ruling after hearing both sides. The hearing of the case shall resume on 7th May 2026. Hassan Lewa, KUTV.
Thank you, Lewa. Now, as health experts and stakeholders convene in Nairobi for the 2026 World Health Summit regional meeting in Nairobi, Kenya's rollout of social health authority reforms is under sharp scrutiny. And as Oching Cynthia reports, a key question is emerging: can SHA deliver universal health care? This as Africa bears a heavy disease burden but with limited funding.
At the United Nations office at Nairobi, the debate on healthcare access, financing and equity discussed in the World Health Summit Regional 2026 that is to take place in 3 days has taken center stage, with Kenyans' reforms drawing both interest and scrutiny.
Health Summit Regional Meeting 2026.
President William Ruto used the platform to defend the country's push for universal health coverage, calling it a necessary shift toward a more inclusive and self-reliant system.
Through the Social Health Authority, we have implementing a unified financing model that expands risk pooling, reduces out-of-pocket expenditure, and ensures that access to quality healthcare is determined by need rather than income or geography. Through a strengthened primary healthcare system, we have expanded our community health system, enabling care to reach households directly.
He urged African nations to reduce dependency on external aid and invest in sustainable health financing.
We need to understand that first and foremost, delivering health is our responsibility as governments and as Africans. First and foremost. Any other assistance we get is secondary. The challenge that I see of the leaders in our continent believe that it is somebody else's responsibility. And because it is our responsibility, we have to design ways and means of raising domestic resources to fund our health.
Health Cabinet Secretary Edin Duale highlighted the rollout of the Social Health Authority (SHA) as a transformative step aimed at expanding access to affordable care. However, he acknowledged persistent challenges, including gaps in maternal health care and inequalities in service delivery.
World Health Summit,
Delegates also raised concerns around funding, implementation capacity, and public trust, key hurdles that could determine the success of UHC across the continent.
2026.
Held under the theme Reimagining African Health Systems, Innovation, Integration and Interdependence, the summit brought renewed focus on how African countries can strengthen cooperation, expand digital health solutions, and build more resilient systems capable of delivering equitable and sustainable health care for all. Watching Cynthia, KUTV.
Now back to politics. ODM's Gladys Wanga and Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir have called for an end to divisive politics. The two leaders said this during a hospital groundbreaking in Kongowea in Mombasa County, emphasized the need for national unity, accountable leadership, and sustained investment in key sectors such as health and education. They also outlined the party's strategy ahead of the 2027 elections, reaffirming ODM's intention to play a central role in forming the next government.
Kuweza kufungua rasmi na ground break hospital which we have proposed itwe Raila Odinga Hospital Kongowea kwa heshima ya baba ambaye kwamba katika manifesto yake ilikuwa ni lazima kuwe na program ya baba care, na baba hakuamini ya ukabila, hakuamini ya watu kuwa shareholders na wengine wasiwe shareholders. Kwa hivyo watu waweze kushindana kwa mazuri na yale ambayo kwamba wamefanya na yale ambayo kwamba hawajayafanya.
Kwamba niko hapa kwa niaba ya party leader wetu Dr. Oburu ambaye pia alifaa awe hapa siku ya leo, na kusema ya kwamba sisi kama chama na sisi ambao tuko kwa nadhifa ya uongozi tuko na jukumu ya kuangazia mambo ya maendeleo ya watu wetu, na hiyo ndio tunaangazia zaidi hata kuliko ile siasa ya kila siku. Kuangalia ya kwamba wana Mombasa ama wana Homa Bay ama wana Kajiado, pale serikali za ODM tunafanya maendeleo na kuangazia maslahi ya watu wetu. Chama cha chungwa kiko imara, na unaweza pata wapita njia, kila soko kinaweza kuwa na mwendawazimu, aende ajizungumzie, aseme kwamba yeye ni kiongozi wa chama fulani. Sisi wote tunajua chama cha ODM kiko na njia na namna ambayo viongozi wanateuliwa katika nyadhifa tofauti tofauti. Na juzi tumefanya National Delegates Convention pale Nairobi, na delegates wote kutoka Kenya nzima wameidhinisha Daktari Oburu Oginga kama party leader wetu.
All right, now every town has a madman. Moving on. As the 30-day continuous voter registration exercise nears its close on 28th of April 2026, that is today, the mobilization efforts have intensified in Nyali constituency, Mombasa County, with its parliamentary aspirant Said Abdallah launching door-to-door campaign targeting youth and women who are yet to register, urging them to act quickly to boost voter numbers ahead of the 2027 general election, with IEBC reporting over 1.8 million new registered voters since March.
Kura yetu ndio mwelekeo wetu mpaka 2032. Ama sivyo? Ama sivyo? Wakati tutajiandikisha kwa kura kwa wingi, tukipiga kura kwa wingi katika wodi ya Kazandani, hata wale ambao watakuwa kwenye uongozi, tukisema Kazandani hatuna title, mbio watakuwa wanaleta title. Kwa sababu wanajua ikiwa tumewapigia, wakati tutageuka tuwape maungo tusiwapigie na ile block yetu, tutakuwa tumewatia maji. Ama sivyo? Ama sivyo? Kwa hiyo mimi nataka kuwaambia tuandikishe kura kwa wingi, tuhamasishe vijana waandikishe kura, wazee waandikishe kura, wadada waandikishe kura, ama sivyo? Kwa sababu ikifika 2027 wakileta.
Now, in a bid to improve education quality, Embu County has invested 67 million Kenyan shillings to promote ECDE teachers and technical training instructors. A total of 565 ECDE teachers and 124 instructors have received official promotion letters. Governor Cecil Mbarire said the move will boost morale and strengthen the education sector, alongside hiring interns and distributing learning materials to address teacher shortages and improve student performance.
We are going to be doing that promotion today, and we promoted about 17 staff in 2022, and we have continued to grant capitation of 25 million every year. And this year we are going to be giving you 35 interns, but we hope to improve on that, continue employing more so that workload can be easier and you can be able to give better services.
The teachers are already motivated. Today we are also issuing them with CBE textbooks, so we expect them as the school start, they be ready to go and ensure that they cover the syllabus as expected so that our learners can benefit from whatever they have been doing.
Tutaendelea kushikilia tukiwa pale bunge la Embu, na mimi hasa nikiwa mheshimiwa ambaye ni chair. Mambo yote ikikuja kuhusu walimu, kuhusu anything to do with the education, hata instructors na wale wengine, nitangangana nione at least tumeshikilia tukiwa na komiti yangu, na tuone at least hawa wanafunzi wetu, walimu wetu at least wako na a good environment.
Now, still on matters education, intern teachers in junior secondary schools, that is JSS, in Embu County, took to the streets yesterday demanding to be confirmed to permanent and pensionable terms immediately, warning that they could disrupt learning in all schools within a week if the government fails to meet their demands. Caroline Kimwele reports.
Day by the teachers who are learning could be disrupted within the next week if the government refuses to address the demands of JSS intern teachers in Embu County. This follows demonstrations held earlier today by the teachers who are calling for immediate confirmation to permanent and pensionable employment terms.
We are requesting the government of the day that since already the Court of Appeal has only confirmed that internship in Kenya is illegal, we are requesting to confirm the intern teachers in the Kenya. We have no any other demand. And if you don't go by that, we'll use all avenue available to ensure that all interns in Kenya are confirmed. We don't go back to court. We don't go back to the rioting. We shall demonstrate to ensure that our teachers get justice. Justice power!
Carrying placards and chanting solidarity songs, the teachers decried harsh working conditions, saying they are operating under poor pay that does not match their training and workload.
Nataka kupewa ajira ya kudumu. Tumechoka kuhudumia wanafunzi wa junior katika mkataba wa kandarasi. Hatutaki kandarasi. We are qualified teachers. Tunataka kuajiriwa. Tumechoka kuteseka. Mwalimu amekandamizwa na jamii. Kila mmoja anajua kwamba tunapata 17,000.
The Embu branch of the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers KUPPET, led by its organizing secretary Stephen Dagara, has pledged to stand with the teachers in pushing the government to address their grievances.
We cannot have teachers doing intern, yet it is illegal and nobody is confirming them. The question of when we are going to down our tools, it depends with the national office and the county offices. Yes. Once we get that order, which we are expecting 7 days, we shall paralyze everything, including the senior schools, in solidarity with the JSS teachers.
The teachers are also demanding autonomy for JSS, arguing that the integration of pre-primary, primary and junior secondary schools under one administration is threatening the quality of education. Caroline Kimwele, KUTV.
All right, now Kenya's cruise tourism sector is steadily recovering, with the port of Mombasa receiving its 5th vessel since operations resumed in November, signaling renewed global confidence in the country as a top destination. The modern Azamara cruise ship arrived in Seychelles carrying hundreds of tourists and crew, expected to boost the growth of tourism sector in the country. Rising arrivals are set to support Kenya's target of attracting about 5 million tourists by 2027.
Ukiangalia katika meli hii wageni wengi karibu 90% wale kwa katika meli hii ni wale wamestaafu. Kwa hivyo ni watu wanataka tu kutulia tu. Hawataki maneno mengi. Kwa hivyo sisi tumeona tushukuru Mwenyezi Mungu kwa sababu wamechagua Kenya kama pahali patulivu wanaweza kuja kupumzika.
Tuzidi kuboresha sehemu zetu za culture, za tradition, mbuga zetu za wanyama, kwa sababu hawa kuja wataka kuangalia maisha yetu, cultures zetu, traditions zetu, unaziona kwenye matelevisheni lakini wanakuja kuzi experience. Kwa hiyo sisi tunashukuru, na nimeona nafasi za kazi ndio walikuwa ni 4 lakini leo tumeambiwa kuna Mkenya mmoja anaingia. Na ukiingia pale utapata mataifa tofauti. Kwa hiyo pia tuna bahati kuweza kupata hizi nafasi, hata kama ni 5 tutazidi kuongezea katika meli zingine, lakini tunawashukuru hawa kwa kuweza kuwa employ Wakenya wenzetu.
Mmoja katika wale nimezungumza naye Mkenya aliyokuwa hapa, nimemwambia ulifika vipi hapa, umesomea vipi? Akanambia mimi nimesomea tu bandari. Amesoma bandari, akasoma hizo STCW bandari, na kisha tu akasomea mambo ya hospitality. So ndo amefika hapa.
The employment issue, we need to have the bilateral relationship between our country and other jurisdiction so that we entice them to be coming to our country and also to employ our youth who are doing the hospitality, the issue of working in the cruise ship, that is very paramount.
Pongeza serikali kama serikali, wizara ya utalii, county utalii, bandari kama bandari, kwa kuweka mikakati mizuri. Kuna cruise terminal nzuri hapa ambao East Africa nzima hamna. I think it's the only one in East Africa. Nchi zingine hawana cruise terminal. Cruise terminal iko Mombasa peke yake.
All right, now in agribusiness this morning, farmers in the country have been warned to remain vigilant on purchasing seeds for this planting season following an increase in counterfeit seeds that could threaten crop production and of course contribute to food shortages. Buyers East Africa, through farmer training and awareness initiatives, has emphasized the importance of using genuine and certified farm inputs. Speaking in Kisii, the company's agricultural expert Barnabas Moseki stated that fake seeds cause significant losses due to poor yields, urging farmers to purchase certified seeds from recognized agrovet shops that sell agricultural and livestock products in order to protect their investment and ensure long-term food security in the country.
Counterfeits, siku hizi tunagundua kuwa wakulima wengi wananunua mbegu ambazo haziko halali. Unapata mbegu imeundwa pale vijijini, then wewe unaletewa pale dukani, then unanunua ukidhani umenunua mbegu ya ambayo ni genuine, kumbe umenunua mbegu ambayo si genuine. So ndio maana tumekuja na hii program ambayo una scratch. Ukiscratch pale KEFIS, ile kodi ya KEFIS ambayo iko kwa packet, unapata kuwa message 2 ambazo message moja unapata kuwa inakuambia kuwa umenunua kitu ambayo ni genuine.
Haziwezi kuchukuliwa na upepo na ziko katika urefu wa wastani, sio ndefu sana na sio fupi sana. Pia zinakuwa kwa haraka sana, miezi 3. Unaweza ukafuna mara 3 kwa mwaka ama mara 4 iwapo utafanya irrigation kwa shamba lako. Pia mazao yake ni hali ya juu.
Paketi 2 nikaenda nikafanya scratch ile ya kuona kama mbegu iko sawa. Nikapata message kwamba nimeingia kwa draw. Pia wakaniambia mbegu iko sawa na wakati ilitengenezwa. Kwa bahati nzuri, baada ya wiki 2 nilipigwa simu nikaambiwa nimefuata pikipiki yetu. Kwa pikipiki hii nimepata, naona imerahisisha mambo yangu ya kutransport mbolea kwenda shambani. Wakati wa kufuna naweza tumia hiyo pikipiki kufuna. Pia naweza peleka wafanyikazi wangu shambani na hiyo pikipiki wafanye kazi haraka wakati wanahitajika.
Now that brings us to the end of our news update this morning. Coming up next is a discussion that places youths at the center of economic development, and in Kenyatta University brought young innovators to develop sustainable solutions to the problems in the country affecting the growth of our economy during the 8th Students' National Economic Symposium 2026. Stay tuned for that.
Thank you, and I'll start my presentation. So this is the story of how a single afternoon can reprise a school's future and how CREAT turns a broken trust contract into institutional infrastructure. So I'll give a story about Amina, who's a parent in Nairobi, and she pays 180,000 a year to send her daughter to a private school in Nairobi. She isn't just paying for desks and books, she's buying a promise, a trust contract, that her child is supervised and collectible only to the right person. At 3:50,
I understand the Student Governing Council. Are you here? I think I saw 3 of you coming in. That is the Kenyatta University Student Association. I want to acknowledge the leadership of the Student Association in this university. Thank you very much. I acknowledge the many partners, sponsors of this event. When you support our students, you're actually supporting us, and we really acknowledge and appreciate that. We also want to appreciate all the participating teams from the various universities. I understand we have a university from Uganda, Uganda Christian University, we have multimedia, we have Machakos, we have University of Nairobi, all those teams that are participating in this event. We really wish to acknowledge you, and our very able judges. We appreciate you very, very, very much. As it has been said, I am here representing the acting Vice Chancellor of this university. I'm substantively the Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of academic. And so without taking too much of any more time, I'll just go straight and share with you the thoughts he would have shared with you in person. I hope as the messenger, the spirit and the message will be aligned. Thank you very much. So it is my great pleasure to extend a warm welcome to you all to the 8th National Economic Symposium hosted by Kenyatta University. Kenyatta University is a hub of intellectual exploration and innovation dedicated to shaping the future leaders of Africa and beyond. As you step onto our campus, you'll find yourself surrounded by a rich history of academic excellence and a commitment to empowering the youth through education. Kenyatta University is not just a place of learning. It is a community that fosters growth, creativity, and collaboration. The symposium theme
Youth-driven innovations to build Kenya's future through eco-friendly innovations is both timely and forward-looking, as it speaks directly to the immense potential that lies within our youthful population. Across Kenya, today, young people are at the forefront of groundbreaking ideas in areas such as green technology, digital finance, agribusiness, and the circular economy, demonstrating that the future of our nation will be shaped not by passive participation, but by active innovation driven by the youth. The symposium, organized by the Kenyatta University Economic Student Association, demonstrates our shared commitment to leveraging the power of youth-driven innovation in addressing the critical challenges facing our nation. Through this collective effort, we seek to inspire, to nurture, and to scale ideas that will shape a more sustainable, inclusive, and prosperous future for Kenya. At the heart of our discussions today is the recognition that young people are not just beneficiaries of development, but key drivers of transformation with creativity, energy, and vision needed to redefine industries and unlock new economic opportunities. It is therefore upon us to create an enabling environment that supports innovation, fosters entrepreneurship, and empowers the youth to turn bold ideas into impactful solutions that will build Kenya's future. As we convene to deliberate on these matters, it is essential that we approach this symposium with an open mind and a strong spirit of collaboration. We must collectively explore bold and practical ideas that place young people at the center of innovation, enterprise, and sustainable development. This calls for reimagining how youth-led solutions, particularly those that are environmentally conscious and socially inclusive, can be scaled to address pressing challenges such as unemployment, climate change, and economic inequalities, while unlocking new opportunities for growth. Our chief guest, it is equally important to recognize the pivotal role that education institutions such as Kenyatta University play in nurturing and empowering young innovators to shape the future of our nation. At Kenyatta University, we have deliberately created platforms to ensure that the ideas and creativity of our students are not only recognized, but also developed into impactful solutions. One such initiative is the Chandaria Incubation Center, which provides a dynamic and supportive environment for youth-driven innovations to thrive. Through mentorship, access to funding, and strategic networking opportunities, the center empowers students to transform their ideas into viable and sustainable enterprises. By fostering a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship, we are equipping our students with the skills, resilience, and forward-thinking mindset necessary to drive Kenya's future and position themselves as leaders in an increasingly dynamic and innovation-driven economy. As we participate in the proceedings of this symposium, I urge each one of us to actively engage in the discussions, share insights, and champion innovative ideas that can drive meaningful change. Our collective efforts have the potential to redefine Kenya's development pathway by placing young people at the center of innovation and unlocking their potential to create jobs, advance environmentally conscious solutions, and contribute to national transformation. In closing, our chief guests, ladies and gentlemen, I extend my profound appreciation to all the participants, the speakers, organizers, and partners who have contributed to the success of this symposium. Let us seize this opportunity to inspire bold thinking, foster impactful innovation, and chart a new trajectory towards a future where youth-led solutions are at the heart of building a prosperous and a sustainable Kenya. Thank you, and may our deliberations lead to tangible outcomes that will positively impact the future of our continent. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it is now my distinguished honor and pleasure to invite the Cabinet Secretary in charge of Investment, Trade and Industry, Honorable Lee Kenyanjui, to come and address us. But before he does that, I want to share with you a very brief profile of our chief guest. Our chief guest assumed the office of the Cabinet Secretary for Investment, Trade and Industry in January 2025. So we would wish to take this opportunity to congratulate you on being given that opportunity to serve the nation in that capacity. He also served as the second governor of Nakuru County from 2017 to 2022. He also served as the Member of Parliament, Nakuru Town Constituency between 2007 and 2013. He also served as the Assistant Minister for Roads in the year between 2008 and 2013, and he was also the first chairman of the National Transport and Safety Authority Board. And as alluded by one of our previous speakers, he holds a Bachelor of Arts Education in Literature from this very university, Kenyatta University. I think he needs a clap. And he also has a Master's of Business Administration from the University of Nairobi. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to be all upstanding as we receive our chief guest to give his address.
Thank you very much. Kindly, you may be seated. Allow me to take this opportunity first to thank the students, Economic Students Association of Kenyatta University for inviting me here and for that honor, because we don't consider it, we don't take it lightly, so we are very happy to be with you here. The Vice Chancellor herein represented by Professor Waisheke, your patron, Professor Perez Onono, members of the university management and faculty, students, distinguished guests, and all the sponsors who are here, good afternoon. I want to make my remarks, but maybe allow me to say, as has been said here, I studied in this university. I haven't been here for nearly 20 years. So as I drove around, I have seen a lot of developments I did not see during the time I was here. And I think I want to take this opportunity to really thank the university, because also, if you went back to an institution you left so many years ago and found it as you left it, it means something stalled along the way. And I've been told of the many other courses that have been introduced that were not there during my time, and all the good work that Kenyatta University has continued to do. And I want to confirm, whenever I have gone anywhere and said that I am an alumni of KU, I want to say many doors get opened. So I think the good work you have continued, the standards that you have maintained over the years, we wish that that continues. I'm aware the other universities here, including University of Nairobi, Multimedia, and all the others. Again, it is important to note that from the current position that I hold, One of our duties is to represent our country, including out of Kenya. And we are signing many trade agreements, including labor agreements. Labor agreements refers to agreements between nations on how we can send specific skill sets to different countries. And from the Middle East to Europe to America, I want to assure you that graduates or workers from Kenya have both the reputation and the skills that are recognized across the whole world. So again, for all our universities and all the institutions of higher learning in Kenya, we take pride in some of the good foundation that we have had that continues to be very useful to all of us. As a student here, I don't want to say when I joined the university, some of you may think I'm ancestral. But many years back, I joined here. Like I said, most of the buildings were not here. They've since been developed, but you had only like 3 faculties. And a lot really has changed. And I really want to salute that, including the health courses that are now being offered here. AI, all those issues that you're currently doing now. Business school has also expanded, law, and all the others. So I think that's a good place. But as a student here, I must say also my early thoughts were shaped by this institution. I walked here as a young person. In fact, I saw one of them who walked like me. I used to, just in jeans, taking life easy and so on, in a world of my own. But through interactions, both with the people we were in class, our fellow students, our lecturers, our tutors, this institution really shaped even how I look. And I want to assure you, every time I sit, even with people from Harvard or any other university across the world, I don't sit feeling I'm inferior. I can sit on any table with anyone from any university in the world. So the thing I really would want to emphasize, and I saw it in the students that invited us here, is confidence. If your education does not give you confidence in the area you choose, no matter how good you are, people don't have the patience to listen to people who are not confident. And that's why I want to salute Maina, who presented for us on, is it Crete? So, I mean, be confident. Obviously, you may not be perfect, but be confident in what you have to offer, and people will have time to listen to you. And through that way, you will be able to move forward. So allow me to read my speech. So I wish to convey my gratitude to the Acting Vice Chancellor, Professor John Okumu, and the leadership of Kenyatta University Economic Students Association for the invitation to address the 8th Students' National Economic Symposium. Engaging with students from universities from across the country is a golden opportunity for me to inform, interact, and mentor our most valuable national asset, and that is our youth. I take this engagement as my personal responsibility. For those who may not know, again, I graduated from this very university and went through some of the courses that some of you are taking. It is an honor to pay homage to a great institution which honed my skills and shaped my commitment to contribute to the nation's development agenda in this institution. I wish to affirm the youth contribute to homegrown solutions to Kenya's green economy, noting that the country's future lies on the creativity and problem-solving capability of our young innovators. The government recognizes youth-driven solutions in areas like renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, and waste management as central to Kenya's long-term development agenda. Allow me to take note that this has strengthened our global position for its highest ranking ever on the Global Startup Ecosystem Index, rising from 58th globally, and this really is a big achievement. I want to emphasize the issue of startup. If on average 1,000 startups, get started, the question is how many of them will see year 2, year 3, year 4. So I think part of this forum, where now we have the business community, the BRITAMs, the equity, and bringing them to interact because the missing link has largely been that the good ideas, the people to listen to them, to judge them, to critique them, to give suggestions on how it can be built on, are not there. So I think we need to do more of this so that we can strengthen our global startup ecosystem index. And this is really important for the country. Ladies and gentlemen, the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry, through specialized agencies, provides structured value chain support for the youth. These institutions are designed to move a youth-led green innovation from mere concept to commercial viability, a standardized and well-funded enterprise. These institutions show the ministry's seriousness in unlocking the potential of young people in our universities, and this requires us to deliberately connect with the innovation opportunities. While at this, allow me to say that Kenya is largely recognized within the region as the Center for Innovation and ICT. In fact, my interactions in Ethiopia, Tanzania, Uganda, and all these countries, the people who are heading those areas, those sections, are actually from Kenya. Therefore, our expectation in terms of capacity building is not just for Kenya, but for the entire region. And therefore, allow me to take this opportunity to challenge our young people that as you think about the future, think of a future beyond Kenya. And when you talk about beyond Kenya, we say the region, we talk about Africa and the world at large. And for that reason, allow me also to say for us who are thinking of innovation and beyond Kenya also, it is important to emphasize on the issue of foreign language. And I'm saying that in the full knowledge that KU is also one of the institutions that has a very strong language department, if I may say so. During our days, we had French, we had German, I'm told there's also Mandarin and all this. So if you are only able to operate within one language, technically it means that your market is limited to that language. But the moment you know one or two languages, if you know Mandarin, then you have opened yourself to a nearly 1.4 billion people as we have in China. So again, for our young people, because the government is keen to open opportunities for you across the world, we have seen that one of the biggest openings is actually the issue of language. Today as we speak, one of my responsibilities is to coordinate with shipping lines in Mombasa. And for now, any young person with a foreign language and has done hospitality immediately has an opportunity in our cruise ships across the world. So again, the need for us to make sure that we align ourselves to a global market. The institutions under my ministry that are responsible for supporting enterprise include the Kenya Industrial Research and Development Institute, that is KUTV, which provides the starting point. So if you have any idea and you think you don't have the skills, KUTV is there to hold your hand. It gives access to tools, facilities, and technical support needed to turn ideas into real products, particularly in green technology, sustainable agriculture, and waste management. This is where theory meets practice. Again, we hold short-term courses under KUTV, and one of the important things here to note is that even if you're in whatever university, when you're finally writing your CV, it is always good to have other short courses that you have done, and KUTV offers that opportunity. We also have the Kenya Industrial Property Institute, and KIPI, in short, ensures that these ideas are protected. Intellectual property, this industry, you have an idea on how to make a product. You don't want that product to be duplicated by people because it took you time and money for you to be able to produce this. Through patents, trademarks, and advisory support, it enables young innovators to secure ownership of their work and build credible enterprises around it. If you have an industrial concept that is not registered, it means anybody can replicate that. But when it is registered, you have the necessary legal protection should anybody take your idea, whether in Kenya or even out of Kenya. You can be able to take up necessary legal action to protect your assets. And as we move forward, increasingly we are now talking about intellectual property, industrial property, not the hard assets as we have known them. So this is one area that we really want to encourage Kenyans, noting that over 70% of our industrial property is not actually registered. We also have Kenya Bureau of Standards, and we want to ensure that for every product you want to innovate, it meets the set standards, both within Kenya and also outside. And for that reason, KEBS does the necessary certification to ensure that your products are in conformity with the region. And for this also, it is important to note that we are in the process of signing mutual recognition agreements with other countries, so that if you produce a product in Kenya and you want to sell it in Ethiopia, it will be able to get that entry without further certifications. And that is part of what we are trying to do to broaden our market and also to take advantage of the Africa Free Trade Area. Allow me also to say at this stage that given the global turbulence and the challenges in the Middle East, it is important for us also to start thinking within the African continent. And part of the certifications that the Kenya government is pursuing is to ensure that when you want to sell any commodity or any product, you can be able to do it within the African continent without going through the unnecessary bureaucracies of recertification. This effort is led by the Ministry of Information, Communication and Digital Economy, which works closely with the Kenya National Innovation Agency. So we have an agency in government called Kenya National Innovation Agency. And their work is to help you and facilitate you so that your idea moves from just being an idea to a product that can go to the market. Kenya, or the Kenya National Innovation Agency, is at the center of building a strong innovation culture across our institutions. Through initiatives such as the Research and Commercialization Program, which is expanding to 25 universities by the end of this year, we are supporting students to move their ideas from lab to the marketplace. And again here, I want to emphasize the issue of commercialization. A good idea that remains an idea that cannot be commercialized, then it means it's not of any use to anyone. You may want to remember that some of the biggest products that have revolutionized the world, including such as Facebook, were ideas between students in a university. But it had to be processed to become a product that is commercially viable and can be commercialized. This is the biggest gap, that many of our good ideas create, among many others, people talk about it, but you don't move to the next stage. So our idea is how can we move it to the next level? And Kenya is one of those programs that is going to help us to do that. The Kenya Innovation Bridge further strengthens this effort by connecting young innovators to investors, corporate partners, and markets, ensuring that innovation does not remain isolated, but is linked to real opportunities. And I see part of that here today when you see equity, when we see Brigham and all the others. So the linkage between our universities and research institutions together with the corporate world, this is really where the link has been missing. And we believe that more of this should come, and I think institutions also should try and set up funds so that this is done within reasonable, so that the time it takes for you to turn around an idea doesn't take too long. At the international level, Kenya is also working with universities through the Kenya Network of Entrepreneurial Institutions to embed innovation and entrepreneurship within our higher learning ecosystem. Equally, the access to financing through Kenya, government is providing targeted funding, including prototype grants, to help young innovators move from concept to viable business models. Initiatives such as the Presidential Innovation Challenge are also identifying and supporting high potential ideas with both funding and commercialization support. These efforts are complemented by a growing ecosystem of partners, including impact funds, corporate accelerators, and innovation awards. such as the one we have witnessed today by the Ayute African Challenge happening later today. These initiatives continue to expand opportunities for our young people. Together, this creates a clear, supportive pathway for digital innovation from idea to funding and finally to market. Our responsibility is to ensure that every young person with an idea has a fair opportunity to turn that idea into impact. One of the issues that maybe I wish to mention is that in our society there are many problems. And we always say that a business must solve a problem. And I like the pitching of the CREAT idea that you go to school, you want to pick your kid, they can be picked by somebody else. That's a problem you're trying to solve. So in every business idea you have, there must be a problem you want to solve. And because we say that in Africa we have many problems, it also means we have many opportunities to solve. And I want to believe that through this innovation opportunities, we can be able to move forward. As I conclude, allow me to leave you with two important resources that could guide your journey as you contribute to Kenya's green economy and sustainable future. The first is the Green Economy Strategy and Implementation Plan. And it was running from 2016 to 2030. This is a government document that is very critical for some of the things you're working with. Our national roadmap for transitioning to a low-carbon, resource-efficient economy. So again, there's a lot of green funding available around these programs, but because most of us do not know, we therefore don't take advantage of the opportunities that are here. So as young people, you have an opportunity to look at them and see how you can be able to plug into them. I encourage you to work with it, provide clear direction on where opportunities lie, and also partnerships. The second one is the Kenya National Youth Climate Action Plan, and that is for 2023 to 2027, which has been integrated into the National Climate Action Plan. It affirms the young people are not just beneficiaries of climate action, but are drivers of it. And again, there lies the opportunity. These frameworks are not just policy documents, they are opportunities, and these opportunities will lead to wealth creation, job creation, and fulfillment of our journey as a nation. Lastly, allow me also to, as I congratulate the organizers of this program, to say that as I look at the participants of today's event, coming from across Kenya, I believe also beyond Kenya, to say that when you look at our young people today, we see our future. And if we want to prepare for our future, we must prepare our young people to be better leaders, to be innovators, and to be solution providers for tomorrow. And for some of these things to happen, I think we need focus, which I have seen a lot of it here today. We need to defer some of the things that can wait for tomorrow, and to develop skills that allow us to prepare for the days to come. Thank you very much, and once again, my great appreciation for this invitation. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's stay there for just 1 moment. We get more coffee to Father. Thank you. Answer 1 or 2 questions. Yes. You don't mind. Where is the money?
During the 8th Economic Symposium right here in Kenyatta University, and like you have heard, it is high time that we take responsibility as young people in shaping our nation. And right now, we are going to take a very short break. When we come back, we shall be having a conversation on the state of the nation, and that will be covering newspaper review with our very own Ojwang Mariam, and of course with Blue Smile Hassan. Stay tuned for that.
Miti miti, panda panda, miti miti. Our planet's future is in our hands. However, there is a threat to the brightness of this tomorrow. On EarthCheck, we share the challenges, the solutions, and the hope.
I would call this a very momentous day, a very critical day.
Every episode, every story, every step we take creates a ripple. Join me, the environmentalist Emmanuel Kutosi, on KUTV every Wednesday at 8 p.m. and be part of EarthCheck. Welcome.
To get you started, hapo kwa Sayuni Referral Hospital. Na hapa hatufanyi mchezo, hapa ni experts peke yake. I'm telling you, this hospital is not what you think.
Unamuumiza bana, wacha.
Watu! Wewe, Ni nini baya wewe?
Our people united shall never be defeated.
And right now, as we are seated, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to be having a conversation on the state of the nation. But before we get into that, allow me to have Blue Smile greet you. Blue Smile, good morning.
As I've been aforementioned, and I'm happy to be here. You know, when you are at this space, you get to analyze whatever is happening in the country. But what is important is that this space gives young people the chance to actually have their say in the Kenyans' politics.
Mm-hmm. That is what is important, and most people take voices for granted.
Exactly.
There are those who just wish to be heard even for a second, but they don't. So Blue Smile, karibu sana once again.
Asante.
On Biashara Tuesday, I hope Art and Culture Monday is doing great.
Art and Culture Monday is great. Actually, we should do some switching, you know. You give me some day on Biashara Tuesday and then also give you on Art and Culture Monday. But that's is neither here or there.
Kiswahili kitanishinda kule. Anyway, I'm looking at the dailies that you're having this morning. That is the Daily Nation, and that is together with the Standard. And they're having more or less similar headlines this morning, just different wordings.
Yeah.
The Standard is talking of $1 billion shilling suit. Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who was impeached on October 2024, had his day in court yesterday as his lawyers challenged the process, terming it rushed, biased, and politically driven. They argued he was denied a fair hearing and raised claims of bribery and ignored court orders. If he succeeds, the case could open the door to billions in benefits and compensation claims against the state. That is on the Standard. The Daily Nation are talking of Gachagua's U-turn. He argues hurried impeachment proceedings saw a House resolution sent to the Senate at night. And they're saying Rigathi Gachagua was removed from office as deputy president in 2024 following impeachment by Parliament, has abandoned his quest to be reinstated should the High Court rule in his ouster was unconstitutional. Instead, the DCP leader is pursuing compensation for the salary and allowances he would have pocketed, and is served the 5-year term, signaling his intent to rescue his future political career as he earns a fat check. So this is just a conversation of, I believe that Gachagua wants to be able to, I can vie for presidency.
Yeah.
And this is majorly what is going on, because if he's just seeking for that to be nullified, it's not a big deal because he's doing fine. Everything of his is doing fine. He's having a party. He can have leaders and all that from, of course, from the governor position to the MCA position.
Yeah.
He can negotiate as he gets into with the governments in place. He can have high negotiating power if at all he has all these positions, because he says he's planning to make DCP a national party, not just a Mount Kenya party. So for me, I see this is just a way to find a door of having him back at the ballot. What do you think?
I agree, but I think he is no longer interested in vying for, presidency. Although it's actually absurd that he actually repeats it. It is, it's a rhetoric that we are seeing. That he even said yesterday after, he had his day in court. He actually told the policemen and officers that, you see, when I get to power in 2027. I will change this and this. You'll actually be a private entity. You'll actually have your private mandate as an independent arm of government. So you see an optimistic man who is actually believing that he is going to be reinstated, his position, his constitutional position of actually vying for a seat. But he dropped his application that he actually was asking the court in his prayers that he is allowed to go back in office. But now he says, no, I don't want that position anymore. I don't want to be Ruto's deputy. I do not want Kindiki's seat. But what I want is the court to declare that my impeachment was done against, the procedures as speculated and articulated by the Constitution. And he in his prayers, he says that he wants full compensation. He served for only 2.5 years, 2.5 years. But now he wants the government or the court to grant him full payment, full salary, and pensions, and any other remuneration that he could have get when he was deputy president. We are talking about the Daily Nation is saying that the estimate is around 16.5 billion. But Gachagua immediate claim is 64.4 million, covering salary, airtime, and gratuity. So you're talking about a lot of money, billions of money that this suit is attracting towards Gachagua. But then, one thing about court proceedings is we get to hear both of those sides. Yesterday was Gachagua's day. In fact, come 7th May, we will actually be having, the other party, the National Assembly, and any other responders in this case in court. So we're expecting to hear, the parliament side, what they say, because there were a lot of accusations that were made yesterday against the speaker. They're saying that the bill was rushed, the motion was rushed, and they're even saying that the speaker did not, give Gachagua time to respond, because the Speaker of the Senate had earlier announced that Gachagua was unable to attend or to answer the questions of the senators. So it is a whole hullabaloo that we're expecting. But my take is it will actually take longer, because most likely, even if Gachagua wins, the parliament can actually go to the Court of Appeal. If Gachagua loses, the parliament will still Gachagua will still go to the Court of Appeal, and then it will be a whole, whoever loses or whoever wins will take it to the Supreme Court. So it is going to be a very big court battle. But you see, it is as many people were saying yesterday, it is one of those cases that will be studied for long, because you see, it is a case. It is not just a case between Gachagua versus National Assembly or the Senate. It is a case between two arms of government, between the judiciary and the legislative. Or the legislature. And you know, these two arms of the government have actually been in conflict for a very long time. So, you know, the judiciary has its place that it cannot oversee whatever is happening in the National Assembly. But again, now, the National Assembly too feels like the judiciary is overdoing, because it's overreaching, because if you remember, the judiciary has been giving court orders to the National Assembly or to members of Parliament. Most of those court orders have been actually ignored. So it is one of those legal battles that we're actually eager and anticipating to hear about. But my take is it will be a very long legal battle, and Gachagua might get whatever he's asking for, but he might not get it in 2027. Yeah.
It might go beyond 2027.
Yeah.
But is it should he be, because yesterday I heard his lawyers arguing that the basis of which his impeachment was centered was on tribalism, which he says that it's the government itself that spearheaded that conversation before the election. So he was asking that why is the government impeached, because this is something that began with the government in the first place, and now Gachagua, speaking of it, is when he's being impeached. And from what we witnessed in 2024, it was a case of having the head who is in conflict with his deputy, because we also had allegations that Gachagua wants to overturn the government and such conversations. So is it a situation where we are supposed to be overlooking all the wrongs that were mentioned, despite the fact that they were politically instigated? But are we supposed to be overlooking those and then centering this on the legal procedures that went through? For example, on the public participation, it taking less days to complete the impeachment, less than a month for a whole impeachment to be concluded. The basis of impeachment not being taken to court, but rather to Parliament, and, you know, such shoddy procedures in between. So should we be focusing on whatever was reported was wrong, or the procedures of impeachment was wrong? What should be the focus here?
First of all, you see, Gachagua has gone to court not because he wants to stop the impeachment because he was something bad was done to him. It is because of the procedures. You see, his case in court, he says that, you see, my conflict with my impeachment process is because it was done against the procedures as articulated in the Constitution. But he's not there to stop to say that I was not supposed to be impeached. The court is not there to look at those impeachments, those reasons why he was impeached. Talking about tribalism and stuff, the court is not there to answer those questions or to deliberate on those questions, but rather the court is there to look if the impeachment was constitutional, if the impeachment followed the law. That is what the court has the mandate, because the court cannot, the business of impeaching anyone, be it an MP, be it a president, be it not MP, sorry, be it a governor, be it a president, be it a deputy president, it is the business of Parliament. So if the court gets into the impeachment nitty-gritties, it will be overstepping its mandate. Mm-hmm. But when we come to the court, we are saying matters to do with the Constitution, which the court has the mandate to interpret the Constitution. Say whatever happened to Gachagua in the impeachment process was against the Constitution, then the court has the mandate to come in between and say this impeachment was unconstitutional, because most of the time you will hear the court giving rulings that things are unconstitutional. So the work of the court is basically looking about the constitutionality of any process, whether it follows the law or it did not follow the law. So that's where the court will come in. And then it will come in compensation now. The court will give the directives whether Gachagua will be compensated or not. So Gachagua's only claim in this court is whether the impeachment was as per the law or not.
Mm-hmm. All right, so from what I get, he's not disputing tribalism, he's not disputing shareholding narrative.
No,
he's not disputing any of that. His only problem is, namtanipea my retirement package as a deputy president. Right, Ojwang Mariam is joining us, and allow me have him greet us. Ojwang, good morning.
Asante sana. Good morning once again.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
We are just talking about this issue, the billion shilling suit with regards to Rigathi Gachagua, and the case that began yesterday, we shall be having this conversation for quite some time. You know how Kenya's legal system works. So we shall be having this conversation for quite some time. And just to set us off, Ojwang, Blue Smile was telling us of the legal grounds of this impeachment and why this is of interest to Gachagua. From where you sit, what do you think about this whole case?
It is very important for everyone, not only us, to take keen interest in this case, because it is a case that will be used as precedent in years to come. We are expecting that in years to come, as we continue to evolve in a world of democracy, we'll be impeaching a lot of people. So this case is of interest to us today and in the future. The legality of how things are being done according to the rule of laws is important to me, to Gachagua, and also to you. Maybe 10 years from now, not 10 years, 20 years from now, we could be talking about Sylvia Anyango deputizing someone, and then 3 years from there, ufike hapo hivyo ukwe kichwa ngumu, we start talking about the Constitution of Kenya and the process of removing you from office. But Article 104 talks about how to impeach an MP according to Article 98 and 97, and now the deputy president, the process of impeaching him is the same as that of a president, which starts from a house, that is the National Assembly, to the Senate, and then if anyone is not willing to take up the results, then you can go to the judiciary, where we are at the moment. And the question they are asking is, was this impeachment by the law? Was it legal? And all these things. And if the court finds that there was nothing wrong with the impeachment, then there are no compensations, there are no ways of thinking how to bring him back to office. But he is saying himself, through his lawyers, that time ni kama imeisha. So at any given point you find out that my impeachment was unfair according to the rights and freedoms given to me by the Constitution, then please just compensate me with cash. Don't give me the job. That is, if that impeachment was not right according to the law. But if it was right, we'll just have to forget about everything and put that case on the list, just like the way we have the cases of Maina Kiai to be guiding us on how to be going through these processes. It is a good moment for us. It is a good moment for us that we were able to impeach someone, and that someone is in the process of seeking justice. And if that justice falls on the people, then the people have won. If that justice falls on Rigathi Gachagua, then Rigathi Gachagua has won. But the end result should be us learning, so that in future we know how to deal with these things. There are a lot of loopholes in the Constitution of Kenya 2010, and such cases will be helping us to strengthen the Constitution, giving it more power.
All right, now from where you sit, Ojwang, do you think that it is possible for us as a country to reach to a point where we can impeach a leader with good intentions? You know, I don't know if this is from watching a lot of documentaries, movies, and reading a lot of articles on politics and how systems work. But if you realize, in most governments, you'll have either the DCI, you have EACC, you have the whips of different houses, having the dirty laundry of each and every member of parliament. So if I want to move a bill, if I want to move something in parliament, I just have to flash that on your eyes, and then you are turned to my will. So is it really possible as a country for us to have this sane and, you know, with sobriety, we can impeach someone or we can get someone out of office based on their works and not based on, is this serving the majority leader? Is this serving the president? Is this serving the executive? Is this serving the governor that is in case for county assemblies? Can we get to that point as a country?
Yeah, it is possible. At the moment, from my profile, I speak of myself as God's gift from the ghetto, meaning my voice is a voice that is supposed to show the world what we have in ghetto. In this case, I've also been trained as a reporter, talking about what other people are saying, not necessarily my views. And according to the views of those Kenyans in 2024, it was a time of need for Kenyans to impeach not only the deputy president, but also the president. We had, after the second reading and the voting, we had public participation whereby we were being asked, do you want Rigathi Gachagua to be impeached? Are you supporting the impeachment? But what the Kenyans were saying is, why and what? So at that particular time and what was happening in the country, it was goodwill. It was out of goodwills for Kenyans to send Rigathi Gachagua out of office. I'm saying this as a person born in Majengo, Nyeri, the same county that Rigathi Gachagua comes from, and as a reporter by then in 2024. When we sent him away, we were expecting if things, we were not expecting really things to change. We were expecting now Kenyans to say we have done one half. Can we continue with the other half? But in the midst of doing all that, Baba fell. In the midst of doing all that, ODM went to the government, UDA. So there are really no talks of sending President Ruto away at the time. And the messages and narratives that were left behind for us to grapple with is one term. And one term meant that we are giving President Ruto a few more years to see if we can send him away then via the ballot in 2027. But
can we really, because I look this as the young people's perspective with the manipulation of algorithm. You'll hear young people say...
That is where I'm coming to. Please give me a minute to finish. But what I was saying is, we have a mandate as the youth of this Kenya who have read the Constitution to just remind the people of Kenya about this document, its power, their sovereignty, and how they can be able to be sending away leaders from office whenever they are not whenever they are not contented with them. The problem is that most of us, especially the youth, we know by the virtue of we went to school, but we don't want to do more research. Do a check or do your own statistics, and you'll find in about 10 youths, only 3 who have read the Constitution of Kenya, but they are the same people out there who are expected to guide the old societies on matters civic education, matters civic engagement. If we, the youths, will not be empowered by knowing, we are living in the age of knowing, by knowing, then we will not be able to help the country. But if we get to know, and we do this civic education and civic engagement, then our Kenyan people will be empowered to know and to harness that power now to remove leaders and select leaders whom they want in office at any given point of our lives.
The reason why I was asking if we can really get to have successful impeachment and removing unworthy leaders from office is because as majorly the young people, or I'll say just it's a Kenyan problem or a generational problem. I've seen this with the older generation. I'm seeing it with the young generation. The older generation were better because they would read news, which is also, I would say, a poison in some sort of way, because for a news to come out, editors will sit and decide that we are going to take this angle. That is not the full objective of what really transpired. So the young people do not want to have to go through the news, do not want to, read between the lines. They just think that if a leader stands and say that, our problems, like the other day I heard Babu Owino stand at the podium and say, that all our problems are brought about by the government. Truthfully speaking, that is propaganda. Not all our problems are brought by the government, but because that is something that resonates with the voter, that is what they will take home, and going home they will say, all my problems are brought by the government. So if anyone talks of, we want to get this person out of office, they will not have a second thought of, wait a minute, but why are we taking him out of office? I love what happened the other day when Mandamano was called. The young people were sat back and asked, why are we really going for Mandamano? Are we going for Mandamano because the prices are high, or are we going to Mandamano because opposition has said? So my problem is, if we keep on following what is the story angles that are given on news, we could keep on taking what politicians say on podiums as gospel truth, will we be able to get them out of office? Another thing is, if we keep voting political parties, the issue of zoning and stuff, if we keep voting because this is an ODM candidate, not looking at character, how do we expect this person to stand up and impeach someone we don't want? If in the first place, those people who want them impeached are the ones who chose him in the zoning process. So Blue Smile, is this really possible?
First of all, I want to agree with you that there is actually a gap, a very big gap, and it is an informational gap. That the young people are, are very ready and very energetic, very vigorous to undertake their constitutional practice of electing new leaders, electing the old leaders, or electing anyone they want. But again, we need to come at a point of information, which these young people do not have. If you listen to, young people debate on televisions, not just us, the so-called Gen Z leaders, those who are in mandamanos, those who, talk about Fagia Wote and everyone, you will actually listen to them and realize that we need to do better as young people, because they are absolutely clueless. Beyond saying what is popular, what they see on social media, they do not go, because these young people have a culture of not reading. My friend Ojwang Mariam usually says that keep reading books. If you see whatever he does is he works with the constitution. For a young person below 35 years, a youth, reading a constitution that is most likely boring to read, and he reads it page by page, it says that there's actually hope for us young people. Because if we get 10 to 20 Ojwangs with the same a hunger for knowledge and information, we will change. But then let me get back to the question of whether it is possible or not possible. From my point of view, it is not possible. And I'll say it very serious, that it is not possible for young people to achieve anything objectively if they do not have information about it. Mm-hmm. First, we have the fear that whatever they consume, the information they consume is staged, it's scripted. But again, if you are intelligent and you've come to the university with the right marks, not the ones that you are given, you should be able to differentiate between propaganda and real information. But sadly, we find that we are all victims, or majority of us are all victims of propaganda and misinformation. Because, tell me why you will believe a politician when he says that all our problems are caused by the government. But again, you will actually think that they will not believe, but they are actually believing. Mm-hmm. In the one-term cocoon and the choir, Gachagua calls it a choir. So in their choir, they believe whatever the opposition leaders say. But when you listen to them, they don't say anything. They just keep on looking for, mistakes. But again, it calls for sobriety. We young people, if we need change, by the way, in 2027, most likely we won't get this change. But as Ojwang says, that it will be a lesson. Mm-hmm. It will be a lesson because we will learn from our mistakes. That the reason why we did not succeed in 2027 is because of ABCD. And I'm telling them from this show that the reason why young people and the opposition and whoever is not supporting the government will fail in 2027 is because of lack of information. While you are singing one term, people are having real-time data. You just hear IBC announce, the outcomes of, voter registration. People are taking into practice this data. They are looking at their strongholds. They're looking on their weaknesses. But you are just here singing one term that Kasongo will go, and you are doing nothing with this data. The information that you get, you are not doing any analytics with it. Mm-hmm. You are just moving with hope that you will get money tomorrow. You are just moving with hope that Kasongo will go in 2027. Then you are wrong. So I'm saying it will be impossible, but they'll get a chance to learn. Mm-hmm. And they'll come out better young people, better youth, and hopefully better leaders.
All right. So if young people, if young people You remember a time when we were having a conversation, the voter registration is ending today. So we were having a conversation where we have someone say that if you're not a registered voter, don't talk to me. I am not getting into a relationship with someone who is not. I think we should be getting into that conversation when it comes to political literacy. Because we have, I'm not saying ladies, we have people, and no offense to any content creator out there, we have someone who their whole day or their whole list of watching is, you know, sorry, these meetups and hookups. I don't know what those shows are called, where a guy comes in, pop the balloon. Yes, someone watches pop the balloon the whole day, never watching anything constructive. Or if it's a movie, you'll hear, you'll have them watching dramas the whole day. And there's something that is a serious, informative movie. I don't know if for Kenya we've come to that position where we have informative movies. And I always love to refer to House of Cards. If you've watched House of Cards, you'll turn your brain from thinking like the audience and begin thinking like the system. And that is the problem that we're having as voters. We receive information and not knowing that before that information was brought to us, there was a whole team that sat and went through our psychology, like you said, examined data, and knew that if we do this, this is what will come out. And we also forget that we are people who live with the economy of being bloggers. So the narratives are shaped. Oh, John.
In a world full of narratives, because narratives will be here today and in the future, they will just be innovating new ways of giving you narratives. In a world of that kind of narratives, the world is defined by those who see it. But it is built on by only those who perceive it in their minds. If all you see when you close your eyes is darkness, then it means you are not really seeing. The world thinks we are seeing by the virtue of being youths and being intellectual. By intellectual, I mean we are coming from a society that was not even going to school, zero literacy, you don't know even how to spell your name, to going to school and having to do an 844 system and graduate. And the world say, you have all the powers to read and write. But we don't really do that. That is why our fellow youths, you tell them, read a certain book. They will tell you, I spent more than 15 years in school. And even today you're telling me to read. So when will this reading then transform? But scholars also say that education is a lifelong process, that every other day of your life you are alive for the purpose of learning. The old people know this, and they were subjected to books. They were subjected to a system, and that system was working for them back then. But there were just a few population. By 2002, when Kibaki is saying that Kenya must have FPE, free primary education, education started to be saturated. So many courses are there, so many students going to campus, so many modes of education, and the system witnesses a glitch that people are knowing too much. Now, they want to ensure that people don't know by making sure that education is expensive, inaccessible to the poor. Why? Because the poor form the biggest majority. The poor form the majority of people also who are not educated. What do we do as youths? Invade each and every space for the purpose of education. We are not saying that it is bad for you to watch couples dating shows, pop the balloon, all these kind of gossip, kuna zingine za loyalty test. Watch them. But encourage those creators to be people who are spreading the civic awareness to their people. Hata watu kaa alishia kanini. Before ambia hivi anaambia disclaimer, venye mkuru ambia niko na merchandise, anaambia disclaimer, soma katiba. So that everyone akisema ako kadi, we understand really why tuko kadi. If you listen to these people wenye wanasema wako kadi, especially wazee, wanasema mimi niko kadi na nimeshika red card. They don't really even know what kinds of cards we are talking about. Times sisi tunaongelea kuhusu joker na kickback na 2 na 3, kuna wenye wanaongelea red card na yellow card. They don't really know. But it is our mandate to ensure that we are doing it. And Sylvia, I will tell you why it is possible. It is possible because we are in the process of doing it. Kenyatta University, the best university in Kenya, ensures that their media is being given priority to the youths. You will find, if you check the profile of people from top to down, you will find even the current director who is directing this show and his team behind the TX are youths. What are they doing? They are giving a platform for people to know civic education, for people to know about $1 billion shilling through the newspaper review. Those of us who are on this set, including those who are on the DOP side shooting, they are youths. What will this happen? What will this do to our fellow youths out there? Wataanza kuona wale ni vijana wenzetu na wanaongelea kuhusu hii katiba. Kwani hii katiba ni nini apart from it being a book? Because this is a social contract that the elites use as a weapon against us. Yet, ni kitu inafaa kutu empower. So why is it a weapon? Because we do not know. We are living in the world of knowing. The US are doing so much better in terms of their civic engagement. Ukule watu utokea wana vote hadi by email. Kwa nini? They know. We need to know. Si ku pretend that we know. We need to know. Because Article number 8 talks about Kenya and religion, saying that Kenya is a no-state religion. Waingia makanisa leo, kila mtu ako pale hivyo amekwamililia Bible. Ingia kwa Waislamu, kila mtu ako pale hivyo amekwamililia Quran. Wakitokea kwa barabara ni Waislamu sijui wanapiga nani, wale wengine wanapiga nani. Si tujue hii kitu ndio hata tujue the framers of the Constitution of Kenya who said that Kenya is no state religion. What were they writing to the people of Kenya and being cemented and promulgated on 27th August 2010 as a document to guide us all? Tukishajua hiyo document, tutaanza question, tuulize hawa wenye walikuwa wana the proponents na wao walikuwa wametumwa ni nani? Because we've had this document from enzi za Lancaster. Tukaletewa document, sisi tukajua tumepata uhuru 1963 first June Madaraka Day, wakatuambia tuko na internal self governance, which was a lie. 12th December 1964 the following year, wakatuambia sisi sasa tumekuwa a full republic, which was a lie. At the time, through the founding president Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, wakatuambia wanamaliza ugonjwa, umaskini na ujinga. Lakini leo 2026, ugonjwa, umaskini na ujinga ndo zinatusumbua. Only us can save our generation. The scouts were not so wrong when you were saying through Baden Powell, fagia kwako ni fagie kwangu and the whole world will be happy.
All right, now talking of our problems being umasikini, education and stuff, I want us to take a look at something. This is the Standard, page 17, Reader's Corner. I don't know why this story is hidden, probably because we think that it is far beyond our borders. They are talking of xenophobia. And this is the phobia of foreigners, you know, what is currently happening in South Africa. And I don't know if I was talking to Blue Smile before we got into the show on South Africa. And the Standard are saying that South Africa government must stop attacks on foreigners. And sometimes we are keen to judge, because I was going through comments and having even people from my contact list post this and, you know, talking really harshly that South Africans are doing, it's a bad thing, of course, and saying that we should stop listening to amapiano, all DJs should stop playing amapiano, forgetting that this is not just about them wanting foreigners out of their country. If you are a scholar of history, you'll understand that South Africa came from apartheid, and for the longest time, the blacks were marginalized. By the time Winnie was fighting, you know, for her husband to be released, went through a lot, she was jailed and blah, 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 you know, developing the football club of young people and, you know, it's turning to be a gang. And during the Soweto uprising, we had young school-going children turn to the streets and they began fighting for their rights from a very young age. And if you listen to their interviews, you'll hear them saying that, someone say that at the age of 13, I became very angry, I could kill. So from a young age, this is someone who has grown with violence, fighting for justice. And after their independence, thinking that South Africa is going to be a better country, you get that there is a very big divide between the poor and the rich, because you remember the uprising was because of forcing them to learn the school subject in Afrikaners and all that. So there was lack of proper education, especially for the blacks, and the segregation, the type of jobs they're getting. So then it developed a very huge gap between the rich and the poor. So throughout the years, we are having a generation where most of them are now at their working age or post-working age, because South Africa has the highest unemployment rates of around 60%, that is of young people. So we are having a generation that didn't go to school. That means that the few who went to school are the only ones who can get to top positions. And that means that they now believe that those people who get to those positions are maybe foreigners who had an opportunity of going to school. So they think that they're coming to take our jobs. And also the fact that they're thinking, at our time when we were fighting to have independence, you guys were quiet on us. So why are you coming to take our jobs? And it's something that we are seeing it's happening far away from us. We're seeing like it cannot happen here in the country. The same situation with here in Kenya. We are having high unemployment rate. We've had conversations where we are seeing people saying that Chinese are coming and taking jobs for Kenyans and blah, blah, blah. Kenyans can only export unskilled labor. University education is becoming expensive. We are dropping out of school. So in one way or another, we might end up in xenophobia if you're not keen as a country. I want to get your sentiments on how we can secure our future as young people based on education, entrepreneurship, and everything in between to avoid getting into such unfortunate occurrences.
We can secure our future by loving ourselves better. I'm saying this from a line. When people will be going through my book, Believe, Become, they will read about how Africa is both a product and a market. What is happening? Africans don't see themselves as both product and market. They see themselves as something that should be helped. They see themselves as an inferior race that should be helped. And that is why, for our own problems, we want solutions from abroad. Today, our health system is it has deteriorated to a point that if you get sick today, you will think that the best medicine, best medical practitioners can only be found in India and such countries. But we are coming from a country or from a continent that was designed to, let's say, 30% extinction around 2020 when we got the Wuhan virus, the China's made coronavirus coming to Africa. Look at the statistics and the numbers of people who lived vis-a-vis people who died. Most of them were from those countries that we call to come and help us solve our own problems. We remained resilient in a time when we were relying on vaccines donated to us. Some of the people who never got the vaccine maybe survived. Some of the people who got vaccines, some of them, their disease was accelerated to death. Mm-hmm. Today, not 2 days, a few months ago, we talked about a professor who had died. He had developed a cure that was fought. Who fights that first? It's our own people, the African people. Why? It is because those Africans are not acting on their own minds. They are acting on their CEOs' minds. When I say CEOs, I'm talking about people who control us. The IMF, International Monetary Fund, they will want to give you money so that they can control you. They don't want you to pay their money so that they can continue controlling you. Today, they will tell you that lowering the price of oil, petroleum products is a loss to them. If it's a loss to them, then how do we gain by increasing or raising fuel levies to country or citizens who are not able to even buy food or put food on their tables. But these people, if they get to realize that they are a product, then tutarudi kwa shamba more. Na tukirudi kwa shamba more, we will not be using GMOs. We will be testing that soil to let God be and ask God, what can we plant here? We've seen people planting in deserts, places like Israel. All those places are desert places, but they thrive even on farming. We Africans can do that without over-relying on their help. We Africans, whenever they want soldiers to go and fight, look at the cases in Russia right now. They are coming for us because we have the masculine, or what they call being a handyman. So when it comes to security, we can handle ourselves. We have had healers who have been healing their people using herbs, even when we did not have the biological knowledge to be transformed and the chemical knowledge to be transformed in laboratories for us to come up with medicines. We can do it. When we get to do that, who do we sell these solutions to? We sell these solutions to our own Africans. If I can sell to you as a Ghanaian citizen, then I can trust you to come to my country without I having to rely on Chinese or the Western the Western powers. When we do that, we'll have the courage, we'll have the patriotism to give visas and passports to people who are providing sustainable solutions for our needs and problems, not our selfish needs and problems. What am I saying? If you look at people who are getting passports right now are people like the RSF leaders, the brothers of Hemedzi of this Africa. But when you are having an idea like yourself, an idea that solves a certain sustainable development goal in your community, you are being denied access to funding, you are being denied access to mobility, you are being denied access to resources that are yours as Africans. We have to understand that we can do it on our own. Not necessarily the Burkinabe way, but that's the best way, whereby we are not being coerced by a document like the Constitution of Kenya. But for us to know why we cannot be coerced by this document, we have to read and reread it so that we can know it. Wanasema pale KU that elimu ni nguvu because it has power to transform the minds and enhance communities. We have all the powers and it is possible for us to do whatever we want.
All right, Mr.
First of all, I'd like to say that Africans fighting other Africans in the continent of Africa is very wrong. It is against the spirit of Pan-Africanism. It is against every spirit. You see, we have the Ubuntu spirit that is African philosophy, that we are.
Because you are.
Exactly. So I'll say that Africa has a problem of systems not working. You see, the problem of unemployment is not a systemic problem in Kenya alone. It is a systemic problem all over Africa because we are the children of the same mother. We actually, our mother gave birth to us within a short period of time. The time gap is equally almost the same, because when you look at the period in between of which countries in Africa got independence, it was within the 1960s, and in this period of time we have grown as siblings. As I love what leaders in Africa like President William Ruto is doing, making sure that most African countries actually are visa free, so that we get into these countries without getting a lot of restrictions, regional restrictions. That the African living in as far as Mali can transact and do businesses in Tanzania. As much as we have our own jurisdiction and our constitutions, but we need to make Africa as an open country. The visions need to be the vision of the former president of Mohamed Gaddafi. That's the vision that we should have, that we Africans should be brothers. So what I see in South Africa is misplaced anger. Instead of these Africans projecting their anger issues towards the government of the day, which has failed to answer this problem of unemployment. Because I was actually looking at the data, and one of the electoral promises that the president of South Africa made is that she's going to sort out unemployment. It has not been sorted out. Right now, the South Africans are saying that we have very limited spaces in our country, of which instead of these spaces getting to South Africans, they are getting to foreigners. Mm-hmm. Who has the mandate to create these spaces? The government. So they should not be beating up fellow Africans, fellow brothers, mm-hmm, in the streets, because of they are sharper than them, they are more outgoing than them, they are more willing to take risks. Because what we see is that the foreigners are willing to take those risks, because the bone of contention here, they are saying that the South Africa as a country has limited spaces, and then these business owners, small scale business owners, are citizens from other countries, and then they're selling things cheaper than South Africans. And then they're saying that instead of the government giving the labor to South Africans, it is giving to the foreigners. But again, I'm not seeing anywhere here that they're saying that the government has said that South Africans will be given the jobs, foreigners will. Mm-hmm. It is an open application. But you see, it seems that the South Africans are not willing to go take these jobs. But you see, the foreigners are there to survive. They do not have the liberty of choice that they are going to say that hii ni kazi ya mjengo, hii ni kazi ya affordable housing sitafanya. They go there, they go do those jobs, and they get those opportunities, which the South Africans are saying, you see, you guys are taking them because you see the money, the salary is quite low, we can't take it, but the foreigners are willing to take. So it is a question of systems, that if there should be I love the idea of protest, by the way, although I've been quite vocal against it, but I'm saying if they should be going to the streets and saying, you see, increase our wages, things to do with sort, instead of going to the streets to protest against the sentencing of Malema. Mm-hmm. You see, their priorities are actually misplaced, as for what I'm saying. And one thing about Africa is we have a disease of coping. You see, even it could be a disease or a medicine. Even the idea of guerrilla fighting for independence, mm-hmm, it started in some small countries, and other people copied. But now you see, foreigners are being mishandled and manhandled in South Africa. We could see another country that will copy that idea. They start beating up people. We should treat foreigners diplomatically. As much as they might have overstepped, we have the right channels to do. We have their ministry, we have their high commissioners, we have their embassies. Let's follow the right channels so that we can hold diplomacy. Because believe me not, if we scramble and dismantle diplomacy, we won't have a continent. Because we are diverse. The continent is diverse. We have people that we do not like in this continent, but we have to live with them because we share the same continent. The same with this country. We might be differing in ideologies, but we have to live together because we share the same country. So that is one of those things that we really need to look as a country. So instead of us borrowing and copying the bad manners that we are seeing in South Africa, as far as Pan-Africanism is concerned, let's learn from whatever is happening in South Africa. And on the xenophobia coming to Kenya, we saw the other day that foreigners in Kenya are mishandling and manhandling Kenyan citizens. We saw Chinese beating up citizens, but you never saw us going on on the streets saying that we have to beat up every Chinese that we see around. There were diplomatic channels that were taken, that mm-hmm, they said Chinese were sent back to their country. So rule of law, the Constitution of Kenya, is not just a book. It is a book it is a constitutional fundamental that has to be followed. You cannot follow it selectively. You say that this constitution will only apply when we are impeaching the deputy president. but it won't apply in other provisions when we are following things about diplomacy. You say that this constitution will only apply when there's an election, because it says that after every 5 years you will have to go to the ballot and kick out Ruto. But when it comes to other respect, the respect of human rights, you choose to sideline it. And we also are telling the government that, you see, this constitution won't only apply to you whenever you want to get into office, that you'll just hold it up. Whenever you want to push a bill in parliament, you'll follow the constitution. But when it comes to the respect of human life, you will disregard it. That won't happen, because this constitution has to be followed and be respected in totality. Yeah.
All right. Now, I love the fact that you mentioned the political narrative around what is happening in South Africa. And I think that is something that we should also be keen on as a people, because most of the time when politicians are doing their rallies, they will say anything that will make the government unpopular, or anything that will divert your attention from looking at their shortfalls on what their deliverables, what they should be delivering, and shifting your focus from that to something else. And my director is telling me that time is not on our side. I would love to take feedbacks from or your final works, but I'm told that time is not on our side. We'll pick this up the next time you're meeting right here on Biashara Tuesday. To our viewers back at home, April 2026. Until next time, it's bye from us.